Surely you discovered that life can't go on like the life before when you suffer from chronic pain. But something in your head still wants to go on. And these are old habits. And I want to take you on a journey to the 4 worst habits. I call them the apocalyptic horsemen of chronic pain. And they're sneaky and they raise the stress level and by this feed your pain. And in the end, I will tell you a first step out of this. Hi, I'm Gideon, psychotherapist specialized on the treatment of chronic pain patients and a pain patient myself. So I decided to do a video for us pain patients on the 4 apocalyptic horsemen of chronic pain. And I mean by this, the habits that drive us into stress, that drive us into pain. Okay, let's get to the first point. The first horseman is setting high standards for yourself. And what's actually a good thing, as I talked about before, because you can reach a lot of goals if you do that, is a bad thing when you're in pain, because you can't reach the same standards as before, because your body doesn't allow it. And if you want to and you try harder and harder, it will respond with more pain and more pain. And this is because the areas that deal with pain in your brain and with stress, they're linked very closely together. And so when the stress goes up, the pain goes up. The stress fuels the pain. And if I always want to reach those high standards, I'm destined to fail. I'm actually destined to fail because my body won't do this. Or I reach a goal and afterwards I have to take off a week, maybe a few days, because there's so much pain in my body. The second point is perfectionism. And perfectionism is actually linked to the high standards I set for myself. Because perfectionism always tells me I'm not good enough. I can always do better. And though in our cultural background, perfectionism is sometimes something like a high value, like the perfectionist is the one who's really into it and who's really getting things done. But on the other hand, the perfectionist is never satisfied. No matter what you do, it's never good enough. And you always can be better. There's always a way where you can be better, where you can do a little twist here, a little twist there, and then it will take you to the ultimate level that you, in reality, never reach. So, if you're a perfectionist, it's not really a quality. It might be, as long as you feel okay with it, but it's something else than a healthy striving for being good. You know the difference? On the one hand is the perfectionist. And the perfectionist thinks, I'm not good enough. I can always be better. What I just did is not good enough. It can be better, it can be better, it can be better. And a healthy striving for good results means, okay, I just do my best and see what's the outcome. And I'll do it. And that's a huge difference, because the perfectionist always deals with stress and always sets him or herself under high pressure. And that's something that just brings the pain along. And if you like this video so far, just subscribe to my channel, hit the alert bell, so you won't miss any other video that comes out. Okay, let's get to horseman number 3. And that's a sneaky one. It's all about pleasing others. Let me guess, no one of us ever wants conflicts with others. I mean, sometimes they're unavoidable, but most times we just don't want them because we don't want the stress. We want to live more in harmony with others and so on. And so we do a lot for others, and that in itself is a great thing, but we tend to forget ourselves in there, and we tend to forget what our body needs in there. So rarely we follow the things that are deep in our heart and that are really important and dear to us. Of course, we want to avoid conflict, we want to avoid stress with others, but see what's happening if you constantly do that. It's like you're avoiding stress, you're serving others. You're avoiding stress, you're serving others. You're avoiding stress, you're serving others. And what sounds good in the first moment means that you're not true to yourself. And you bet your body will recognize that. And it will react. And it will tell you that it's stressful. And why is it stressful? Because the others get used to it. If I'm always there for the others, they say, thank you in the beginning. They say, hey, great what you do, and all the energy you put in there of caring for those people, or caring for these, and doing this for him and this for her. And in the end, it's getting normal. And you start to wonder, hey, why don't I get any feedback? They just take it for granted that I do such a thing with so much energy. And this is the point where you can complain, or, and most people do this, they step up and they say, okay, then I have to do a little bit more. I have to be there for the others a little bit more. And you start it, and people feel pleased, and they say thank you, and say, hey, that's great that you do this, and all this stuff again. And sometime later, they get used to it. And you see what's happening? It's like you're taking stairs, one after the other, and the stress going up, 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 up. And by this, the pain goes up, 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 up. So it's not about letting others down. It's about caring about yourself. Let's get to the fourth horseman. And this one is directly linked to the one being there for others. And it's the incapability to say no. Just the simple no. Because we want to avoid conflict, we want to be the nice people, we want to be recognized as harmonious, nice, and all these things, best friends, best buddies, And this is okay until it gets too much. And actually, that's the reason most people, that's the horseman, most people in my practice tell me. When they come, I can't say no. And I always think, oh, you just said no. But of course, they mean something different. When people get to you and say, oh, could you please? The no is harder spoken than a yes. And you don't want to be mean to others, you don't want to offend anybody and all this. And so you say yes. You say yes and yes and yes. And it's the same as before. People get used to it. And typically, mostly at work, they start giving you more and more and more to do. And you accept and accept and accept and accept. And someday it's getting too much. And all this is no problem as long as you're okay and your body is okay. But when you suffer from chronic pain, you just can't take so much. Okay, let's bring this all together. Where is the problem with these 4 habits? The problem is threefold. The first thing is you neglect your needs, and especially the needs of your body. The second point is that you leave your body exhausted. It's very exhausting to live that way when you have a chronic sickness or chronic illness. And the third point is that your pain will get worse because you always signal your brain, hey, it's not good enough, it could be better. And by this, you always trigger the stress system in your brain and it will fuel the pain. Now we get to the point I promised you in the beginning. How can you deal with it? First, it's very basic to understand that these habits are tucked away deep inside of us. Okay? It's not easy to grab them because we often do them so automatically because we often know them from childhood on, that it's just a normal way of being, of acting, of behaving for us. And so there are 3 steps I want to tell you that might help you to step out of these habits. The first one is hold still. When you see some signs that you're within such a habit, maybe your head goes all the time, or maybe it's that your heart's pounding a little bit stronger than before, or there's a little bit more tension in your muscles, or like for me, I feel pretty good when I'm in this doing mode, I call it. And it is very, very important that you catch yourself while doing that. That you just notice, hey, what's going on here inside of me? And you push the pause button. And you just let go of everything you do for a moment. It might be just a small moment, that's enough. Okay? And you just take some deep breaths. That's step 2. Take deep breaths and decide what's important for you right now. What do you want to do? Do you follow the stuff you started? That's okay. Or do you want to do something else that goes in another direction? Okay? So, first step, noticing, pushing the pause button. Second step, breathing. Third step, just choose what to do now and what's important to you. Please remember that these deeply rooted habits just don't disappear like that. Okay? What's important is that you pause a moment and that you have this little bit of space in between you and the things that go on autopilot. So you can decide, if you want to go in another direction. It's all about choosing. And remember, it will take time. The deeper it is inside you, like in every fiber, the more often you have to do it to get out of the autopilot and choose the direction you want to go into. Okay, if you like this video so far, don't forget to subscribe down here, and I'm happy to take a step into life with you.